Welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Jackie Padilla. Thanks for joining us. Our Cronkite News reporters work in teams to cover specific issues important to all Arizonans. Those beats range from borderlands to business, from education to technology. Tonight we highlight stories from the legal team, reports on government affairs, legislation, law enforcement, and the people working to make our communities safer.
Thousands of sexual assault kits sit untested in Maricopa County. Governor Ducey has launched a task force to clear that backlog. But as Audrey Wheel reports, law enforcement officials say the first task is determining exactly how many kits haven't been tested and why.
On November 19th, 2009, I was raped. I made the decision to come here so I could have a rape kit completed.
Investigators tested Kim Hedrick's kit, and prosecutors convicted her attacker. But for an estimated 2,300 victims in Maricopa County, that's not the case.
As a rape victim, thinking that, okay, well, I did this so that that person could be convicted, caught, and then to never have anything done with it is like, oh, really? Just another step that was a breakdown in the process.
Governor Doug Ducey is trying to solve that problem. Today, he launched the Arizona Sexual Assault Evidence Collection Kit Task Force. Its goals are to recommend ways that every kit can be tested in a timely manner, develop statewide testing standards, and a tracking system for kits, and to educate sexual assault victims.
If we can, A, answer the question you asked, why did this happen, and B, do something about it, and we have support from the entire valley to do this, then I think we're in a good position to do it.
But it won't be easy. Maricopa Special Victims Division Chief John Elison admits to Cronkite News there could be closer to 5,000 untested kits. Many of them are sitting in evidence rooms or waiting to be tested at crime labs like this one all over the state.
I think that maybe some people just assume that because they've had an exam that it just automatically goes to be tested, or that everything is automatically submitted for testing, when that's not necessarily the case.
There are 13 steps in every sexual assault kit. That means 13 different DNA swabs, but nurses can collect more or less depending on the situation. Last year, the New York County District Attorney's Office gave Maricopa County a $1.9 million grant to test these kits. But with each kit costing upwards of $500 to test, the funds may not be enough.
If we end up not having enough money, and we probably won't have enough, we will find other funding. We will get it done.
Somebody who rapes normally doesn't just rape one person. And so you think of having evidence that might say, okay, well, we have a rape kit that was tested now, and then we go through a backlog and we find the same DNA on other rape kits. You think, okay, well, for me, I think that's something that's very important.
But as law enforcement deals with backlogged kits, new ones continue to come in. The FBI's latest crime report shows that in 2014, there were more than 3,000 reported rapes in Arizona. In Phoenix, Audrey Wheel, Cronkite News.
The task force is expected to provide Governor Ducey with their recommendations by October of this year.
By now, you've seen the photo, a group of girls that were supposed to be spelling out Best You've Ever Seen Class of 2016 for their senior panorama picture broke off to spell out a racial slur using the letters on their shirts. Today, for the first time since the incident, administrators are speaking out to our own Julia Thatcher.
In an exclusive interview with Cronkite News, I sat down with the principal to discuss the future of Desert Vista and for those involved in the photo, but I also spoke with a former teacher at the high school who said this isn't the first time Desert Vista has had a problem with racism.
The unfortunate situation that happened does not define Desert Vista.
Words from the principal at Desert Vista High School. However, former teacher Cicely Cobb says otherwise.
Seeing that photo let me know that I wasn't imagining it, that there actually were severe systemic racial issues on that campus.
Cobb filed this lawsuit in 2014 against the Tempe Union High School District claiming racial discrimination. She said she wasn't surprised when the controversial photo surfaced 10 days ago.
This issue with the Desert Vista 6 would not be an issue right now if the Tempe Union High School District had taken the time to fully explore the systemic racism that permeated Desert Vista High School.
The former principal, now a defendant in the lawsuit, was quick to dismiss the allegations.
Has nothing to do with or even close relationship to what was experienced with the non-renewal of Cecily Cobb.
The photo quickly sparked national attention and local protest.
I've come here to say that I am incredibly, incredibly sorry.
Now, as the school district determines the future of the 6 girls, a petition asking for their expulsion and the principal's resignation has reached more than 45,000 signatures.
We will rise above.
Despite the controversy, the embattled principal told me she and Desert Vista will survive.
We are a community that love each other and know that we all make mistakes, and we will forgive each other, and we're going to work together and rise above this situation to be better and stronger.
We reached out to the 6 girls involved in hopes to get an interview, but have yet to hear back. As of right now, only one of the 6 have made a statement of any kind. In Phoenix, Julia Thatcher, Cronkite News.
The district was very clear that they will not be sharing any specifics on decisions regarding any punishment. They did share, however, that schools can only give 1 to 10 days suspension, depending on the infraction. After 10 days, there may be hearings attached to any additional discipline, and the school board will make a final decision.
With the Arizona legislative session open, many bills are being proposed dealing with guns, from concealed weapons on college campuses to how they can be sold. Reporter Julia Thatcher spoke with an inventor from Arizona who says he's developed a piece of technology that could help prevent accidental shootings.
The inventor of this device says the technology he's developed would target 4 specific groups. His goal, make guns safer to keep in your home or to carry with you.
If a child can't open a bottle of aspirin, we should make sure that they can't pull a trigger on a gun.
During a speech, President Obama called on the public and gun manufacturers to create technology that would increase gun safety, something an inventor in Lake Havasu claims he's already done.
As you heard our president talk the other night about gun safety and how we need to improve it, we've already improved it. We are aiming at 4 market groups, the first being children, second being dementia, Alzheimer, where mistakes are made, suicide, and also gun theft.
The clip is secured around the trigger and is removed the same way you remove a cap on a medicine bottle.
The gun owner can have access to his gun within 1 to 2, 3 seconds max.
If the person does not know how to take the clip off, the alarm will sound. The group says they haven't had any negative feedback and have been working with groups like the NRA to create a product gun owners will be happy to use.
I'm pretty impressed with how readily accessible the firearm becomes once the device is on and it's removed by the responsible gun owner.
The clip is getting some kickback, though, from some gun owners. Former Marine Joseph Oxenfeld said he isn't opposed to the idea, but he personally wouldn't use it.
It would be more practical to just, when you need it, have it really easy to use, and when you don't need it, have it actually locked up. As opposed to that, it seems like it's somewhere in the middle of both.
The company says phase 2 of the product will include a cell phone app that will alert the owner if the alarm has been triggered.
This product is available for purchase right now on InsightProtect.com and retails for about $149. In the broadcast center, Julia Thatcher, Cronkite News.
An Arizona House bill could legalize concealed weapon carry on Arizona's 3 public college campuses. Reporter Sydney Glenn spoke to supporters as well as people who oppose the bill.
That's right. If House Bill 2072 were to be passed, people with their concealed carry permits would be allowed to conceal carry on Arizona's 3 public universities. Currently here at ASU, things like tasers, pellet guns, and even pepper spray are not allowed on campus. Arizona State University's undergraduate student government took a stance on the bill Tuesday night. After talking to hundreds of ASU students, club leaders, and sending out a poll, almost 70% said they would be against this bill.
This bill has passed.
The successful vote to oppose the House bill comes as USG said most people's concerns include intoxication and suicide.
Obviously, you don't take your CCW permit test while drunk, but you may end up having a legal right to have that gun while drunk.
But not everyone agrees with that.
We believe that students should have whatever they feel that they need or whatever they want to protect themselves on campus.
According to the Arizona Department of Public Safety, there are about 250,000 Arizonans with their concealed carry permit. 32,000 of those are between the ages of 21 and 29. That's roughly 13%.
I probably would carry on campus if it's passed.
Perry Miller, president of ASU's Gun Devils, is in the process of getting his concealed weapons permit. Being able to carry on campus would make him feel safer.
For the same reason that there's people fighting for this bill to pass, is just the events going around in this world today, especially within the country. You just never know what's going to happen.
The Arizona Board of Regents came out with a statement opposing the bill, but they understand people's concern for safety and are open to other options.
Potential of having a campus marshals program where we have significant numbers of highly trained and experienced people around each of our college campuses who will be able to engage.
For now, USG says that they need to represent how the majority of students would feel if this bill is passed.
We just want to make sure that we do a lot of good outreach and then get to express that to the state legislature, and they can take that into account when they vote.
The bill went through its second reading at the House earlier this week. Back in 2011, then Governor Jan Brewer vetoed a very similar bill to this. We did reach out to Governor Doug Ducey for comment, but we've yet to hear back. Live in Tempe, Sydney Glenn, Cronkite News.
Photo radar has come up in the Arizona legislature several times since the cameras were installed in the early 2000s. But some people think this year's bill, a complete statewide prohibition on photo radar, might actually pass. Cronkite News reporter Ben Marjat is in Scottsdale for the update.
Common sense would say that drivers coming into these intersections with red light and speed cameras make the road safer because they're slowing down, fearful of getting a ticket. But this kind of driver behavior might actually make things more dangerous.
Most of us Arizona drivers have a story that goes something like this.
It was coming home late at night from working very late, and I got it for 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. There was no cars on the road.
David Johnson was caught by a speed enforcement camera. But if House Bill 2540 passes this year, those speed cameras and red light cameras would be outlawed in the state. House Republican Kelly Townsend, who has actually voted against a similar bill in the past, proposed the legislation this time around.
I wasn't ready yet to say, let's get rid of them. But I had given my word that if it could be shown that there was fraud involved, that I'd run the bill myself.
That confirmation came in the legislative off-season, when a former CEO for Redflex, one of the big photo radar manufacturing companies, pled guilty to fraud in June. Shady business practices aside, questions remain whether these cameras are actually making the roadways safer, an argument often made by politicians who want to keep them in place. Common sense would say that yes, drivers approaching a red light camera or a speed camera would slow down and be more cautious, but the numbers and logic might not back that up.
Shining a bright flash in somebody's face in the middle of the most dangerous part of the road, the intersection, is going to increase accidents.
A 2005 study done by the University of Arizona and sponsored by ADOT showed that rear-end collisions at intersections with these cameras increased by 51% in Phoenix and 41% in Scottsdale.
Rear-end collisions skyrocket 40% because people are slamming on their brakes because they're afraid to get a ticket.
Representative Townsend said that even if the bill doesn't pass the legislature, a similar measure will go to the ballot later this year. In Scottsdale, Ben Marjat, Cronkite News.
A new bill is looking to prohibit teens from using their phones while driving. Cronkite News reporter Lauren Ashley spoke with a mother who knows firsthand the consequences of driving distracted.
Eric was the most mindful person I've known, and just the opposite is what killed him.
On July 25, 2009, 19-year-old Eric Okerblom was struck and killed while riding his bike. He was training to join UC Berkeley cycling team. Phone records later revealed the teenage driver was texting at the time.
To lose someone that you love so much is something that's so incredibly preventable.
Arizona House Bill 2241 will prohibit teenage drivers from using their phone except for an emergency. Alberto Gutierrez, director of Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety, says this bill is for everyone, not just teenagers.
No cell phone use till you're 18 years old. But even then, after 18, you shouldn't use a cell phone while driving. So it's not only for teenagers, it's for everybody.
Senator Andrew Sherwood sponsored the bill and says this is a public safety issue.
We're not talking about just casually,
looking at something out of the window. I mean, you're talking about what you don't think is a long-term amount of distraction from the road is in fact a lot of ground covered in your car, and it's dangerous.
Orca Blonde believes state lawmakers have the power to save their lives or the life of someone they love from distracted driving.
Laws have to give a clear message. They have to give the message that no, you are endangering not only your own life, but everyone else out on the road.
Orca Blonde doesn't want another parent to go through what she has. In Phoenix, Lauren Ashley, Cronkite News.
The bill is moved to the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. A hearing is expected within the next 2 weeks.
DUI arrests are down for the 4th year in a row here in Arizona, and law officers aim to keep those numbers down at big events like the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which had a record-breaking 618,000 attendees this year. Cronkite News reporter Sydney Glenn found out how police are preventing drunk driving.
2015 DUI arrest numbers here in Arizona are down about 7,500 since 2012. Things like education, stricter laws, and the accessibility of transportation apps like Uber all play a role in that. Golf balls were flying and drinks were flowing at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. People enjoyed more than just the golf.
I have been drinking today and I plan on doing more of it. Thank you for asking.
But with heavy drinking comes responsibility.
Well, I like to drink responsibly, and I don't want to do anything that would endanger the lives of other people.
The Scottsdale Police Department set up the Know Your Limit detail to help educate people and keep them from getting behind the wheel after too many drinks.
And the thought process is catch the people before they get in the car, let them know what's going on, and maybe they'll have to make a right decision.
Some used the breathalyzer to see if they were able to drive. Others more as a competition to see how drunk they were. Using a large-scale event such as the Phoenix Open as an opportunity to make knowing your limit fun is part of why DUI numbers are down for the 4th year in a row here in Arizona, about a difference of 7,500 arrests. Uber, a popular ride app, was also at the event.
I think the more that people are learning about the service, learning about the ease of it, the sort of push a button and get a ride aspect, the more people realize that they have alternatives to drinking and driving.
And several people agree, using the click of a button to get home.
Oh, well, probably Uber, unless my friend decides to drive us, which is a much better thing to do than me drive us.
Although DUI arrest numbers are down, the job of keeping drunk drivers off the road is far from over.
I won't be happy until every single person on the roadway has made the right decision or is unable to drive a vehicle impaired.
The National Transportation Safety Board urged states last week to lower their legal driving limit from 0.08 to 0.05 or even lower, in hopes that that will prevent more people from getting behind the wheel after they've had too much to drink. Live in downtown Phoenix, I'm Sydney Glenn, Cronkite News.
It's not every day that a hearing room at the state capitol is filled with dogs and their owners. But today, owners brought their service animals to the Senate to comment on SB 1166, which would change the state requirements for those animals. Reporter Julia Thatcher was at the open comment today.
These dogs are always hard at work.
I wouldn't be here. You saved me 4 times in the last 2 years that I've had them.
They're service animals for people with disabilities. These animals can be trained to assist people with autism, hearing impairment, and even detecting seizures.
Dining out, going to theaters, and doing some of the things you and I do, we take for granted. They have to have this animal with them because it's a life-saving need, and they have a disability.
So I can have a life again. I don't have to sit in my house. I don't have to be in an assisted living home. I can go fishing. I can go up in the mountains again. It's pretty incredible.
This bill would make it a Class 2 misdemeanor for anyone who violates the rights of individuals using a service animal. A service animal trainer said he supports what's trying to be accomplished, but doesn't support the current bill.
A lot of the aspects in it are undefined and could present a problem to users out in public, and denial of access and criminal charges because of that.
People can register service animals online. The problem is people registering their pets that aren't actually used as a service animal. And those at the hearing say that makes it harder for them to bring service animals into businesses.
They're here to serve a purpose and to work and to save lives.
After hearing from the public, Senator McGuire says amendments will be made. In Phoenix, Julia Thatcher, Cronkite News.
There are 2 new bills being proposed in the Arizona House of Representatives, one of which would legalize the possession of marijuana. Cronkite News reporter Nick Pope went to learn about the prospective laws.
This year is my system to regulate and tax marijuana throughout the state.
So basically to make it legal.
State Representative Mark Cardenas is pushing 2 bills in the House that would change Arizona's marijuana policies. One of which, House Bill 2006, would make it legal to possess the drug if you are over the age of 21.
2006 is, what it would do is that it creates a system of dispensaries throughout Arizona. The revenue from that would go towards drug treatment programs, K through 12 education. So it's things that we desperately need funding for and support for, which we don't fund in the legislature very well.
Last year, there was about $1 billion of sales in marijuana, and that all happen in a legal market and away from a black market.
They're showing increased revenue. I don't know that they're showing net gains just yet, and I don't know that they'll ever show net gains. You still have a thriving black market in places like Colorado. You're not going to be able to ever make up for the amount of damage that marijuana causes.
Both sides will have to wait to see what will happen in the coming weeks at the Capitol. In Phoenix, Nick Pope, Cronkite News.
HB 2007 is the other bill sponsored by Representative Cardenas. That bill would reduce the penalty of possession of less than 1 ounce to just a civil fine.
School bomb threats have becoming a growing concern nationwide and in Arizona. There were as many as 5 bomb threats in Phoenix area schools since last month. Cronkite News reporter Johnny Soto looked into how police officers and school administrators work together to decide whether a threat is a hoax or is credible.
Good morning, Fulton students.
So whenever we get a report of a threat, typically what happens is a school will call my dispatcher, who will then notify me. We'll assess the nature of the threat, call the police. I usually coordinate with the school resource officer sergeants.
Once the school district notifies the police and a credible threat is determined, officers arrive on scene.
We will establish a perimeter. We will do a cursory search. You know, we will help out school administrators with that cursory search. And then we will bring in usually a bomb sniffing canine. So even if we don't find anything, we are still going to have at least 1 canine on scene that's going to sniff that entire property.
In late October of 2015, Fulton Elementary in Chandler received a threat and the school had to be evacuated. Officials say they had to move out 1,000+ students in addition to teachers and staff.
What we learned was that our policies and our procedures and our protocols all worked exactly the way that they should have. Everyone was safe, all of our students were accounted for, our parents were able to meet our students at the evacuation site.
Law enforcement and school officials say it is worth evacuating an entire school to make sure that everyone stays safe. So far, no bombs have been found in Phoenix area schools. In Chandler, Johnny Soto, Cronkite News.
Police officials advise parents to not show up to the school when a threat has been reported, as it causes more congestion around the school's community. Once both school administrators and the police deem that the school is safe, parents will be notified when to pick up their children.
Marijuana dispensaries across the U.S. are giving Facebook a thumbs down. The social media site has shut down the majority of all dispensary Facebook pages. Cronkite News reporter Lauren Michaels met with a local dispensary who argues that shutting down their page creates a bigger issue.
Marijuana says that dispensaries' locations violate their policy when it comes to selling drugs. But the dispensary I met with says they're confused about the sudden shutdown.
I got a message saying your page had been unpublished and that it had violated the terms of Facebook.
The Giving Tree Wellness Center is a medical marijuana dispensary, one of many nationwide with newly banned Facebook pages.
As far as we know, our 3 years of all of our different events that we've done, all the fundraisers, all the memories that the Giving Tree has accumulated and shared with our community are all deleted.
Morris says they would post photos of community events they participated in with their patients, like these on their Facebook page, rather than primarily using their page to draw in sales.
Last year, we raised the most money of any organization in the state of Arizona to go towards the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, which is a qualifying condition for medical marijuana cards.
But despite community events, Jessica Smith, a volunteer for Keep AZ Drug Free, thinks the Facebook dispensary page ban is a great idea.
Right now, currently as it stands, it's intended to be for medicine.
So not sure why people would be on Facebook searching to find a place to get their medicine.
As of right now, 4 states in the U.S. allow recreational marijuana, while other selected states regulate only medical use. On a federal level, marijuana is still illegal. In a statement from Facebook, they said, in order to maintain a safe environment on Facebook, we have community standards that describe what is and is not allowed on the service. Anyone can report content to us if they think it violates our standards. Our teams review these reports rapidly and will remove the content if there is a violation. Facebook says although they allow marijuana advocacy, they do not allow content that promotes the sale of marijuana, including marijuana dispensaries.
We're not out there promoting how high can you get on Saturday night. You know, we're out there promoting wellness.
And this isn't the first time that Facebook has been criticized for such guidelines. They were under fire in the past for actually deleting breast cancer survivor photos as well as breastfeeding mother photos, saying that they both violated nudity guidelines. In the media center, Lauren Michaels, Cronkite News.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News Tonight. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
We are here tonight to explore tough issues.
You've got to have people around you who aren't just laying rose petals in front of your way.
And I kid you not, this is true.
Trust is everything.
This has been so much fun.
It's about reaching people.
There are more players on the world stage. The issues are more complex.
We ask the questions that take us closer to the truth.
What happened and what might happen.
Because that's what we do.
Would you like doing something like I do?
I couldn't do this. I'm not qualified.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.